Take the critics and your fear. There's no easy way to hear. And all the memories you love to bring. With all the things that you hate to scream. So tell me, hollow on the inside. There's no trying to hide from this monster inside me. So if you try to criticize me,
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Browns Beat Podcast. I am one half of your co-host. My name is Tristan. I'm here with my man, Derek. Derek, how we doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. For those of you who can't tell, I am a little bit sick coming off of celebrating turning the big 23. It's weird to be this old, Tristan, but had a great time. 3 days in Pittsburgh. Best 3 days of my life, to be honest with you. Unreal that it was in Pittsburgh, but listen, hey, to the girl I met, we'll never forget you. Hopefully run into you again.
Okay.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Getting through the school year, finals week, you know how it is, but happy it's coming to a close. But I'm even more happy when I think about the Cleveland Browns draft. Today we are
put
going
my notes up here. Sorry.
So we're going to be going through the Cleveland Browns entire draft class today, giving you our thoughts on everybody. And then we're also going to talk about some surrounding trades. And that's actually where we're going to start today, because the Cleveland Browns going into draft day had the number 2 overall pick. And we had talked about it on this podcast. We thought for sure that we were going to stay and we were going to pick and we were going to be taking Travis Hunter. Literally, like the night before the draft, you had started to hear the very first whispers that the Browns are open to selling the pick if they are given a king's ransom. And then 3 hours before the draft, we started to have it pick up steam. The Jags and the Browns, they're in intense talks about a trade. And then it happened. So the Cleveland Browns traded down with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They traded the 2nd overall pick. And they also traded pick 104, which was in the 4th round, and pick 200, which was in the 6th round, to Jacksonville. We ended up getting the 5th overall pick, so trading down 3 spots. We got the 36th overall pick, which was the 2nd round, very top of the 2nd round, mind you, as well. Mm-hmm. The 126th overall pick, which was in the 4th round. And then the cherry on top, the Cleveland Browns got the 2026 first round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So next year, the Cleveland Browns will have 2 potentially very high draft picks. So, Derek, I know based on not even talking to you, but just seeing your tweets, you were not happy about this trade. So I'll have this discussion start with you, Derek. When you saw the notification pop up that the trade had finally gone through, and you saw the compensation, you saw everything, or actually forget compensation, you saw we traded the 2nd overall pick, what was your thought?
Oh, I was absolutely livid. Like, I think this might be... Now, in hindsight, I have differing opinions based on in the moment, but I could tell you in the moment, Tristan, I literally got up off the couch, walked out, went into my buddy's game room, shut the door, and sat in the dark. That's not an understatement. That is dead serious, and I have 3 other witnesses that can back it up. My other friend, who's also a Browns fan, did the exact same thing. So... safe to say in that household, we were not happy at all about the trade down. And Tristan, the biggest thing for me going into the night was I'm so sick and tired of reliving, having Julio Jones there, and you trade him, and all the times that the Browns have had great players that turned out to be great players on the board, and we've traded. Yeah, I was pissed. I was absolutely pissed, to say the least. Now, in hindsight, again, I have a differing opinion. The Browns, of course, you mentioned it, you trade number 2 and 104 and 200, you get 5, 36, 126, and a first next year. Tristan, if we did not get the first round pick next year, I would still be sitting here livid. I would still be livid. But the fact that the way this draft went for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think anybody could have guessed. I don't think there's a single person on the face of this earth that thought the Browns were going to leave the draft with 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, tight end, and a defensive tackle and a linebacker. Like, I did not see the draft going this way at all for the Browns. Tristan, I will tell you, after the fact now, I understand the why, but I still am not as confident that this is going to end up being as good as it could be for the Browns. I think what Travis Hunter does, the player that Travis Hunter is, would almost be more beneficial to have on this team than maybe what we will have. But that is not to be determined anytime soon. That is way, way, way down the road. Now, wrapping up here with that being said, you still got the number 5 pick, which is still high enough to get a good player. You picked up 36, which, Tristan, we talk about it every year. First-round talent falls into that top part of the second. That was a great pick. And then, of course, 126, whatever. But the first-round pick next year, you mentioned it, the Jags could suck. Like, they're one of these teams that probably picking above 15, which when you have 2 first-round picks, it's a lot easier to do some movement if you feel you need to.
Yeah, and for anybody that thinks, oh no, this is a trade that ends up putting the Jaguars over the top, they'll end up being a great team next year, do me a favor, look up the very first time that new head coach Liam Cohen said Duval in front of the microphone, and you will instantly take back that thought, and you will say sorry for ever having it. No, but in all seriousness, so when I first saw the trade, the very first thing that went through my mind was just, wow. It was such a ballsy move, because you have a player there that just days earlier, your GM had publicly stated that his comparison is Shohei Ohtani, and he has that level of potential. And you're trading away a player of that caliber. Because say what you want, they didn't draft him, he wasn't there yet. He was a Cleveland Brown. He was a Cleveland Brown until he was traded. That's how it was, because nobody else was going to go there. And so when I look at that, it's something that just it shocked me, and I couldn't believe we did it. Derek, I know that I am not as high on Travis Hunter as you are, and there are some reasons for why I like this move that we made. And before I even get into that, right, let's talk about the trade package itself, like you had said. Getting that first-round pick next year is everything, because the reality of it is that if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything in this league. You are nothing more than the quarterback that you have. So, in my eyes, just out of morality, I guess, I don't know, like the process itself, great move, because you put yourself in a position where you didn't necessarily sacrifice in terms of top end talent. You still got a really good player, not as great as Travis Hunter, and certainly not as high of a potential player, but you got a great player. You got at the very top of the second round. You got another great player. We're going to talk about both of them here in just a minute. But you put yourself in a position where next season you possibly could have the first overall pick. You never know. You know, we have two teams to root for losing. I'm just kidding. We'll be rooting for us to win. But Jacksonville, please lose. But we'll have two picks that we can use to go up and grab our guy in a class that is much, much deeper than this class. And, you know, the two first-round picks, there's a lot of consideration in terms of the two quarterbacks that we drafted in this year's class and what the impact could potentially be. And you know, we'll get into that. But I think that this was a good deal. I do. And I, again, was not sold on Travis Hunter. And the biggest reason for it, Derek, was in order for him to completely fulfill that Shohei Ohtani like comparison, he would have to do something that I just don't think is physically possible. I don't think a human body can bear that much. You're talking about a guy who wants to be on the field every single snap on offense and who will probably play a lot on defense. He would, just in my opinion, Derek, the amount of wear and tear that would put on his body, it's a liability. I think it's a liability, especially when we consider that if he does get an injury, and it's later down the future, if he gets an injury, we're down our number one wide receiver and corner, and all of a sudden his injury is much, much more of a liability to the success of the team. But again, I get why fans are upset about this, because he has shown in college that he can do it at a very high level. I just think doing it at the pros and being able to have a long career while doing it, I just think that in my opinion goes against biology. So I just think it's a big risk. And when we talk about, okay, let's say he ends up not being a guy that plays both sides of the ball in the pros because his body's just not able to handle it, or, you know, he's just, there's not enough time in the day for him to study everything he needs to study, whatever it may be. Derek, I don't think that there's one side of the ball that he does so much better than the next guy in his class. Like, corner is the one where I'll say, okay, you know what, fair enough, because corner, he is a insanely talented corner, and I actually think that's his best position. We had talked about this when we initially evaluated him. He is a very, very good corner, and if that was his primary position, I think that he'd have a very long career in the NFL and very successful one. As a wide receiver, I thought he was a good one, but I didn't think that he was great. I think that Tet McMillan was easily the best wide receiver, pure wide receiver in this draft class, and I do not think it was close. I think that Carolina has a stud in him, by the way. Some people that were concerned about like personality and stuff like that, just watch interviews of this guy. Watch him talk. I think that people are getting twisted up over one sentence, and I think it's ridiculous. So he's a very good wide receiver. He was my number one. Travis Hunter was my number two. But regardless, Derek, if we take away the fact that let's just say he's not able to do what anybody has been able to do in the NFL in its history, certainly of notoriety to a notable level of Hall of Fame status. A single position that he plays is not more valuable than what the Browns got in return for this trade. And that's where I think it was a smart bet to take, because just looking at it from purely logic only, it's a huge risk to assume that he's going to be able to play both sides of the ball, high productivity, and stay healthy. So I think that I think that this was a good risk for the Browns to take and a good trade. I could be burned, and I think the Browns could be burned, but at the same time, you still found a way to get a top end talent in this. So, two, I would argue. So I think that it's worth it. I think it absolutely was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to evaluate moves like this right now, but essentially the way we're going to have to look at this 2 years down the road is the Browns traded Travis Hunter for Mason Graham, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson was the 126 pick, and then whoever the Browns pick with the Jags first rounder next year. That's really how you have to look at it. So, I mean, it's an unknown. Are any of those guys going to be better than Travis Hunter? Maybe, probably not. But if they, as a group, can collectively be great in their own right, yeah, I mean, it's an excellent trade. But Tristan, more so, in my opinion, it's more so based on that first round pick for Jacksonville, which I will get into a little bit more when we talk about these quarterbacks later. But, Mason Graham at number 5. It's funny because as soon as we traded the pick, the exact words out of my mouth was, we're going to take Mason effing Graham. And I meant that as a negative. But listen, at the end of the day, Mason Graham is a very good football player. I don't think he is the high-level talent of like a Jalen Carter a couple of years ago. That's not who you're getting, in my opinion, but you are getting somebody who is elite at a different skill set than a guy like Jalen Carter. Mason Graham is by far the best run defender in this draft, and I think he comes into the league and he's one of the best run defenders in the NFL. Day one as a rookie. He has that quality. And you guys know, if you know me or you've seen this show, I'm diehard Ohio State, and I've watched Mason Graham literally destroy the run game because for some reason we kept trying to run the ball. And he was single-handedly just dominating. So he's a great run defender. That's his number one skill set. Jim Schwartz finally gets probably what he was hoping when we drafted Siaki Ika. But as far as a pass rush goes, Mason Graham is good in the pass rush. I just don't want people to think he's this out-of-world pass rusher. He's not. He's got great power. He relies solely on power and technique. He's not going to beat you with speed. He's not the quickest or the fastest or the most elusive, but he's nasty. He's cold. Mason Graham is that dude. And I'm excited to have a guy like that can plug up the middle. And Tristan, when we think long-term, right? Mike Hall Jr. last year is your pass rush guy. That's your slippery, quick, aggressive, elusive, you know what I mean? And you pair him with Mason Graham there in the middle, you have your run defender. So I like the way that this defensive line is shaking out, Tristan. For everybody at home, Mason Graham's 6'3", 6'3.5", actually. I don't want to disrespect him on his height there. Roughly 300 pounds, played at Michigan, dominant, one of the best players in this draft, best defensive tackle in this draft. He goes to the Browns at number 5. Tristan, what say you, sir?
Yeah, so if we look at Mason Graham, you're absolutely right. He is a force of nature and has been throughout his entire time in college. In particular, obviously, the Ohio State game is the first thing that comes to mind. Ohio State was hell-bent on running the football and trying to show that they were a more gritty team than Michigan. And they played right into the hands of Michigan, which meant that they were playing into the hands of Mason Graham. He, in college, was the most dominant interior defender in the whole, like in all of college. He was the most dominant interior defender, and I don't even think it was particularly close. Like he's just a vicious, violent man. And I love this pick, Derek. I think that he fits perfectly with Jim Schwartz and what we're looking to do. And I think we finally have an interior guy capable of taking advantage of what Myles Garrett can expose on an offensive line. I see this as somebody who he's going to be standing right next to Myles Garrett. And, you know, I think that's the best spot for him to be in. In particular, when we talk about the run game, a lot of teams like to run right at Myles Garrett because he gets to the backfield so quick. The running back usually is right past him. So we've got somebody there who is, like you said, he's an elite run stuffer. He's going to plug up the area. He's going to find the guy. He's going to get him to the ground, eliminate those big plays. And I told you that was something that I was really, really worried about when we let go of Dalvin Tomlinson, that we weren't going to be able to find somebody who did that, and we'd be in a precarious situation. But we've got Mason Graham now, and I think it fits beautifully. I also think that with Mason Graham, you know what you're getting. I feel like it's a fairly low risk move. At a very minimum, he's going to be a long-time starter in the league. That's your bare minimum. And for what he does, it's valuable. It's a very, very valuable thing. So I really like this move. I will say something that shocks me about the Mason Graham pick is when we look at stuff that traditionally analytics guys value, like sometimes it's arm length, sometimes it's like height, broad jump, stuff like that. His measurables aren't necessarily the greatest, especially when we talk about physically, like his physical metrics. And, you know, you see him in his suit and, you know, like people are ripping him online and you know, they just don't know that when he puts on those pads, he's a different human being. So I gotta say that did shock me that they were willing to make that pick because of the traditional analytics values. I think that they could have easily overlooked him, but I'm happy they didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready to move on if you're ready to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
33.
So with the first pick in the second round, pick number 33, this is a pick that we talked about quite a bit, and Derek, I did not see this coming, and I bet you feel the same way. Browns ended up taking Carson Schwesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. That's going to be fun to say for the next several years, hopefully. Derek, give me your thoughts on Carson Schwesinger.
Yeah, not too happy in the moment with the pick. I think Carson is interesting because more of what it means versus actually what he is. Tristan drafting an off-ball linebacker at 33 when there was elite talent on the board tells me that they know something about JOK. And that is very concerning. That is very, very concerning. JOK is one of my favorite players on this team. I think he's the most overlooked and underrated player on this football team. And with his career in question, the fact that the Browns would take Carson Schwesinger here at 33 was a little bit alarming. And not to hate on the kid, but if it were me, Tristan, I absolutely. I mean, if it were me, I would have taken a quarterback. You would have taken,
here. We know who you would have taken.
But I kind of figured that they weren't going to go that way. So I was thinking in my head, okay, you had the worst offense in the NFL last year, historically bad. We need weapons. Well, boy, there's a elite receiver right on the board waiting for you that would fit in this scheme in Luther Burden, and they passed on him to take Carson here. And listen, I like him. I do. I really do. He's fast. He's slippery. Good in coverage. Gets to the quarterback. Good lateral speed. He plays a lot like JOK. Now, I do think he needs some work. He needs to put on some size for sure. He's 6'2", 225. I think for a linebacker, that's okay, but I want to see him more at that 235 240 range. Maybe not that much, but just put on some more muscle, man. Like you need to put on some more weight. Because that's how you have the JOK situations happen. When you have a Derrick Henry running downhill at you. So I like the player. I think he could very well come in and start day one. Mason Graham's definitely a starter day one, but I think Carson Schwesinger could also come in and possibly start, especially given the Devin Bush situation, which ironically was in Pittsburgh when I was there. That was kind of funny on the drive home. But, it's not what I would have done with the pick, Tristan, but ultimately I think it was more of we have a big problems and a big hole in our hands in the middle of this defense. Let's take a guy that we love that can fill the role that we are going to need. And I hope that he turns out to be an excellent linebacker. This franchise doesn't put a whole lot of emphasis on linebackers. So to take a guy like this at 33, boy, what a statement.
Yeah, so before I comment on the pick of Carson Schwesinger, there was something very, very important that I think you mentioned. You had mentioned in particular that our offense was the worst in the league last year, and we needed to rejuvenate it. We needed to take some players that were going to improve the offense. And I just want to address that first. Personally, that is something I completely disagree with. It's not that those facts aren't relevant. It's you shouldn't be entering the draft to look and fix your problems. The draft needs to be where you go and you take players that you think fit with your scheme and make you better. Or I shouldn't say that necessarily, but have the potential to be great players. It shouldn't be, that free agency is what the patchwork is for. And the draft is what builds sustainability. And something I will say about Luther Burden. Luther Burden does have a very big personality. He is somebody that is not shy at all. He's somebody that on the football field loves to get in the faces of other guys, loves to celebrate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's times where he's drawing penalties. There's times where, not really locked into the game in terms of what's physically happening on the football field. But when he's locked in.
It's worked out great for Pittsburgh. They have a Hall of Fame receiver there in Georgia. Oh, wait, he's in Dallas. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, so the other thing I'll mention as well is I can't remember exactly when it was said, but Mary Kay, I believe, came out with a report saying that the Browns are now going to start truly valuing personality behind the players that they bring in as well. Obviously, we know about the quarterback. We know about some other moves that we've made that that involve players with questionable histories. But Mary Kay came out and said that the Browns are now going to actually really crack down on making sure that they have good people who share the similar mindset coming into the building. And for me, I think that took Luther Burden off their board. I'll be honest. I think that took him off their board. So if it didn't, I'll be honest, Derek, I don't see why they didn't pick him, because he is a very talented receiver. So, but Carson Schwesinger, in terms of the prospect himself, I haven't had a chance to watch his tape extremely close. Just kind of been small snippets of him. Minor evaluation. He looks to be a player that will fit the scheme, has a lot of potential within our scheme. And Derek, do you know who the last linebacker we took in the second round was?
Was it Schobert, Kirksey?
No. I can't believe you don't know this.
Linebacker in the second. It was JOK.
JOK.
We traded up.
Yes.
For some reason I was thinking we took him in the first, but no, that's right. He slipped.
No, it was reported that he was in contention to be picked in the first round, but they ultimately decided on Greg Newsome. I think that this is a player that they view as somebody who has a high ceiling, similar to JOK when he was taken. I'm intrigued to learn a bit more about him and to learn exactly what role he's going to play in our system. But I'm excited for him. I think that whenever we're taking a linebacker this high with the analytics group that we have, it must mean that they think he's going to be special. So we'll see. We'll hope. It's interesting. In terms of him replacing JOK, I don't necessarily agree with that. And here's why. JOK, so he played multiple different roles in the linebacking corps over his time as a Brown. Towards the end of last year, we really started to see him as our Mike linebacker, but he was for the longest time our Will. So I think that they just view it as a situation where JOK, I mean, certainly we're hoping and praying for his health, and hoping he'll be all right. Neck injuries are super, super scary. But JOK is capable of playing both positions at a very high level. So why not just take a guy that we're really high on? So I that's how I took it. So I don't think that this is a pick that, it means that JOK is his playing days are over. I don't think that's necessarily the case, Derek. But we'll see how this unfolds. But I'm excited. I'm excited about Carson Schwesinger.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to eventually get comfortable saying that last name. Holy my God.
Yeah, I really hope JOK is not done, because I think, Tristan, it'll be one of the biggest what ifs in Cleveland Brown history. We talk about what if Josh Gordon wasn't a pothead, what if certain things went other ways, what if Julio Jones went to the Browns, all the different what ifs throughout the history of the Browns. I think JOK would be one of those, because of the level that we saw him playing on the field versus, who knows where he'll be at now. It's tragic. It happened with Ryan Shazier. It's happened with a lot of other NFL players, but it is what it is. We'll have to just wait and see. But Tristan, one of my favorite picks from this draft, one of your favorite picks from this draft, with the second of our 2 second with the second of our 2 second round picks at pick 36, the Cleveland Browns take running back Quinshon Judkins from the Ohio State University. Tristan, thoughts?
So real quick, I just want to touch on the other thing that this whole situation with JOK tells me is I got to stop buying player jerseys. Because here's my history so far. I bought 3. Very first one, Baker Mayfield. Okay. My second ever one, Odell Beckham Jr. My third jersey, as somebody who I thought, he'll be a Brown forever. There's no chance I can jinx him. JOK. I gotta stop. I am the problem. I am aware. So, Joe Thomas, your jersey's next. I'm not messing with anything else here.
He's gonna unretire and go to the Steelers now.
Right. So Quinshon Judkins. We talked before the draft, and we knew that we weren't going to end up with Ashton Genty, right? So we pretty much said, okay, well, in that second round where we were hoping to take a running back, which running back would you want to take? And we both said Quinshon Judkins. And the Browns went out and they got him. So obviously, I'm ecstatic. And I know you are too, because you're an Ohio State fan. You know what this guy can do. For me, let me just paint a picture for those of you who are Browns fans, right? There once was a year where the Cleveland Browns had 2 picks in the second round. The first pick they used on an offensive lineman, and then the second pick they used on a running back who was more so predominantly known as a power back, and in a backfield of two, a lot of analysts viewed his other player to be the better guy and to be the guy that would be better in the long run. I'm talking about Nick Chubb, obviously, but the thing that I love most about this is he fits so well with what we want to do. And I think that this is a player with untapped potential still. Even though he was at Ohio State and did amazing things there, I think that this guy can get to another level. I think he can be one of the elite running backs in the league. I could not be happier, Derek, could not be happier that this was our pick. And also, before I pass it to you, to the guys who think that this was a big FU from the analytics department to the Browns fans, because they, in the second round, their two picks in the second round were a linebacker and a running back. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe it, honestly, Derek. I was so happy they did, but I could not believe it.
Yeah. I'll pick up where you left off. I was happy that they put an emphasis on these running backs as well, because I talked about it before the draft. My biggest worry was, oh yeah, we need a running back, but we can get one in the 5th, 6th round and he'll be a good starter. No, go get your guy. Go get one of these guys. And they did. Quinshon, Judkins, boy, he is a special player. He is a very special player. And I want to start off talking about Trevion Henderson first. Trevion Henderson is a great player in his own right, don't get me wrong. And he's elusive, and he's electric, and he's fun. But I'm so glad that we went with Quinshon and not Trevion Henderson, because I completely agree with everything you said. I don't think it's even close as far as a fit goes. I think Judkins is a much better fit and fits everything the way that this run game is going to be set up. And the thing about Quinshon Judkins, Tristan, is when he was at Ole Miss, he got used a lot. They ran through him. But he came to Ohio State, and now he had the 2 running back system. And it was okay, how are we going to use him? And while you had Trevion as your home run hitter, can take it 25 yards, he would also take it 2-3 yards, and that would be nothing. And then he'd hit a 30-yarder, or a 15 or whatever. Trevion is awesome, don't get me wrong. But Judkins is your consistent 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, 30 yards, put somebody in the dirt. And he has the speed to have that home run ability. He has great power, great vision, aggressiveness. He plays the game like an old school running back. He will shove you through the ground. And Tristan, I think that is absolutely what we need. I think there's a lot of similarities with Kareem Hunt with Judkins. But I think Judkins is a better runner of the football. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to have Quinshon as our lead back. But I'm also excited because we'll talk here in 2 more picks about the other running back we got. And I think we have, Tristan, we went from, this run game is not good at all, to now I think we will have one of the best run games in the NFL again. And I think Quinshon is going to be the workhorse of that room, and those other 2 guys I'm excited about. I'm excited about the fill-in and the rotation. But overall, if you question the Quinshon Judkins pick at all, go watch the college football playoff. Go watch the national championship. Go watch him grit and fight and drive guys with him for 5 yards. Go watch what he was doing. The dude is a monster. And I'm so excited that he is the guy. On the wish list of players, he was the guy from Ohio State that I wanted. And I'm so glad that we got him here at pick 36.
Absolutely, Derek. And if there's anything that we can say so far about even just that one pick, right, and considering as well the other additions that we made in free agency, we're going back to the Kevin Stefanski system. We're running the ball a lot, running with power. We're a lot of pulling guards. Like this is gonna be the old Kevin Stefanski playbook. Okay, and that pick is one symbol of that because of the profile of running back that you need. He just fits that beautifully. Our next pick confirms it. So the Cleveland Browns, with round 3, pick number 67 overall, took Harold Fannin Jr., a tight end out of Bowling Green. Derek, for me, this screams we're going to be having a lot of 2 tight end sets, which, again, screams it's a Kevin Stefanski system. So, Derek, tell me, what are your thoughts on Harold Fannin?
Listen, this might be my favorite pick from the draft, to be honest with you. I love me some Harold Fannin. As a kid that was born in Fremont, Ohio, I grew up around Bowling Green a lot, BGSU. So it's really cool for me, Tristan, to see somebody who, played their college football career like where I grew up, like in the area, and to be on my favorite team. Is so cool. And Harold Fannin Jr. is an absolute dog. Like in every sense of the word, he is a dog. If you have not watched him, Tristan, this is a guy, yes, he played at BGSU, and yes, a lot of people will go to that, the competition. He balled against Penn State. Do you remember when Penn State almost lost to Bowling Green? That was Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin dominated. He dominated against Texas A&M. He consistently put up insane numbers, and he was that Bowling Green offense. 6'4", 220 pounds. He's just dominant. The dude is just unstoppable. Playmaker all over the field. And Tristan, I could not be any more excited to have a guy like Harold Fannin, because while you still have Njoku, which I think is something we need to bring up, is Njoku, his future is a little bit in limbo. He's going to have a contract coming up here shortly. And I'd love Njoku to stay around, but if not, I'm fully confident in Harold Fannin Jr. He's that good. And I can't wait to see what he does. But to your point that you were just making, Tristan, the fit in the offense, the 2 tight ends, the run game, like it is all shaping up, and it is all coming together here. And I think Njoku and Fannin are going to complement each other very well. I think these two have similar skill sets, but I think where Njoku exceeds, I think Fannin, I mixed the two. I think Harold Fannin is better as the route runner, as the get open guy, where Njoku is your more athletic freak. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how these two mesh. I'm excited to see, how he slides into this offense. But Tristan, you went from 2 defensive players off the board to 2 offensive players off the board back to back. And I think these are 2 guys that at the end of the day, in a couple years, we're going to be looking at as, wow, yeah, those guys were difference makers in this offense for sure.
Absolutely. I think personally, you've got, in your first 4 picks, I think that you have 4 starters, or guys that are capable of starting. Obviously, Harold Fannin's not going to beat out Njoku on the depth chart, but he's going to be playing on the field quite a bit. I really like this pick because it's 2 things. Number one, especially with Joe Flacco, we know how important David Njoku is, and how good he is, what he's capable of producing. And if he got hurt, that would kill our pass game. So I look at it and I say that this was a move that I love. I love that move for us because at the very minimum, right, you have somebody that I feel like is capable of stepping into Njoku's role and being able to give you similar production. He's a very, very talented player. the fact that we could potentially be lining up Njoku on one side and Fannin on the other. Oh my goodness, Derek. I don't think that there's a team that has the talent at linebacker or safety to cover those guys and do it every single down repetitively. Like, I don't think that there's a single team out there that has the ability to do it. It's such an exciting move. It's such an exciting move. And I know that I said, you never use the draft to play draft needs right now. I didn't think tight end 2 is that big of a need, but because we're going back to that Stefanski offense, it is somewhat of a need, and they drafted a player that I think he has Pro Bowl caliber. I think he's a fantastic addition to this team, and the fact that he's going to be able to learn from David Njoku as a rookie, I think, man.
And he's one of us too. We talked about this with Jerome Baker, but a local Cleveland area. I think Harold Fannin's from like Akron or Canton, somewhere around there. But you've seen the Browns bring in guys that fit, I guess is the best way to say it. I'm so happy. Like he man, I'm telling y'all, Harold Fannin is going to be.
He's from Canton.
Yeah.
Canton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you, Derek. I'm so excited for him. Now.
This is where it gets interesting.
If you were listening back casually while we were talking about the draft, this is the part where you lean forward, because I think this discussion is about to get very interesting.
Yeah.
So the Cleveland Browns in the third round, at the very end of the third round, pick number 94, take quarterback Dillon Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, I need to know your thoughts on this, because I was shocked that we took him. But I need to know your thoughts.
Well, first, I would like to apologize for turning the camera off and on so much. I am sick. When this camera's off, I am dying, coughing. So I apologize. But Dillon Gabriel, man, this pick came through. Tristan, I was at my friend's house, and I was getting ready to go to work. And let's see. Yeah, I was getting ready to go to work. Or no, it wasn't. No, because this was... So this was the day... This is a day 2 pick. So this is the end of day 2.
Very
so
end
we
of
were...
day 2,
yeah, so getting ready to go to bed, rather. And I saw it come across the screen, because they showed Dillon Gabriel, and I literally looked over at my friends. I'm like, he looks way too happy right now. Like, something's going on. I'm like, he's not just sitting there. Like, something just happened. And sure enough, the Browns select Dillon Gabriel. And Tristan, the funny thing is, you asked me, oh, what's my thoughts? I was one of very few people that I know of that was high on Dillon Gabriel. I never had him as a top 3 quarterback or anything along those lines. But the one thing that I've been saying, I don't know if it's documented, recorded, whatever, it might be, it might not be, but the thing that I said about Dillon Gabriel is it would not shock me if he becomes a solid starter at some point, if not a really good backup, because he has all the traits. He has the accuracy. He has the experience. The dude's been in college forever. He's got the leadership. All his teammates love him. He's sneaky athletic. I could tell you that, playing him twice last season. He will take off on you, and he will run. But Tristan, just as a quarterback, he's accurate, athletic. He's got a solid arm. I like a lot of Dillon Gabriel. I really do. Now, what I don't like is he is 6 foot tall, which he's definitely not 6 foot tall. Not saying that matters a whole lot, but Tristan, it kind of scares me a bit when you have a guy who is on the shorter end, but he's also a lefty. it scares me because you have to change your entire structure of your offense. Not saying it can't work, not saying it won't work, but it definitely matters. Michael Penix down in Atlanta, he's a big dude, right? He's a big dude, strong arm. I think he can navigate that well. And Dylan's been playing with great talent around him, big offensive linemen. So he's done it. I think he can do it at the next level. I laughed when the pick came in, Tristan. I really did, and I feel bad for the kid now after what happened later on in the draft and kind of how he's been overshadowed. But I will tell you, I don't believe Dylan Gabriel will be the starting quarterback for the Browns. But where I think of him right now is I think the Browns have a really, really good backup. They have a really, really good option in that quarterback room, and don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. He's a very good talent. The Browns obviously liked him a lot. I was shocked, to say the least, but overall, I would not make the pick. I definitely would not have made the pick, especially where it was. However, if we're taking that out of it, I don't think he is the worst. I don't think he's going to be just an awful, awful quarterback.
Yeah. So I've got a few things that I want to I want to talk about with Dylan Gabriel. First and foremost, let's start with the fans. I never, ever call out fans. I never might make a couple side disses at the Deshaun backers, but there is nothing that I do that regularly I attack fans for, or I get angry at fans with. The treatment of Dylan Gabriel and how people talked about him, and I'll actually even lump in Mason Graham. I thought it was very, very inappropriate, and I think that it was just not warranted. I can kind of understand why people were very, very upset emotionally, and emotional when we made the trade to give away the pick for Travis Hunter. I can understand, and listen, everything happened so suddenly. It's hard not to have emotions rise during that. Didn't think it was right for some fans to attack Mason Graham over it, which some did, which is just wrong. And the same thing happened here with Dylan Gabriel. A lot of people online pretty much saying that he's trash and they don't know why he was taken there, and it was such a reach for him and all this other stuff. And in reality, I'm with you, Derek. He's a good quarterback. At the very minimum, he's going to be a long time backup in this league, which is valuable. It still is valuable. You need to have good backups that you can rely on. And people say, oh, it's a third-round pick. It's a third-round pick. It was a compensatory third-round pick 94. I hate that people are saying, oh, the Browns passed on generational talent to get this guy. No, he's not Daniel Jones or Jackson Dart. That's not what he is. That's not what it is, where you're passing on players that, oh, wow, this guy, it's pretty much bookmarked. This guy's going to be a multi-year starter in the league. It's not that. Not that at all. I know that there were some solid players on the board when we took them, but not players that I think oh my gosh, that guy's gonna tear up the league and he's gonna be, making tens of millions of dollars a year. I don't think so, that there were any players on the board that were capable of that. But let me move on from that. There's two other things that I want to mention in particular about Dillon Gabriel. There's a very, very big misunderstanding with Dillon Gabriel. People assume because of his small stature and the fact that he throws lefty and he's got some mobility, they see him and they think of somebody who wouldn't have a very strong arm, and somebody who has a weak arm. In reality, Derek, he had the strongest arm in this class, especially when we look at throwing short to intermediate routes. And I can vouch for this and back it up. So, this was a statistic posted by, or at least where I saw it, by the Dogs Podcast on Instagram. So, good looking out for them. Dillon Gabriel broke the record for throw velocity at the Senior Bowl. Josh Allen and Jalen Milroe were previously tied for the record with 62 miles an hour. Dillon Gabriel's velocity, 74.9 miles per hour. This dude's got a cannon, like he does. In terms of throwing deep down the field and far down the field, not the best, especially when we're looking at, there were times, especially with Oregon, where he would make a deep throw, and it was more so you would see it when a guy was wide open. He would underthrow him a decent bit, and the guy would have to almost like stop to field it like a punt. But he's capable of making some outlandish throws. Derek, there was one that I sent to you or I believe I sent it to you. It was from the first Ohio State meeting. Mm-hmm. And Ohio State was up, and it was in the red zone. It was the first touchdown of the game for the Ducks. Dillon Gabriel stood in the pocket and made an unreal throw to the boundary where, I'm not even kidding you, Derek, if it was placed inches in any other direction, it does not connect. It was a perfect throw, an inch perfect throw. He's got a talented arm. He's got solid mobility. It's not anything crazy, but it's solid. It's feasible, and you can definitely work with it. He does a good job of going through his reads. He's accurate. He's got everything. He's got all of the basics that you need for a quarterback. His height, I'm not going to lie, it is an issue. It is an issue. He did have some issues in college where the ball got batted down at the line. And that is a concern, and I understand why people are concerned about it. However, I don't think that you can look at that singular aspect of his game or singular negative to his game and make a judgment that this is a bad football player, bad quarterback. I completely disagree with that. This is a very, very good quarterback who has played a lot of games in college, comes in with a lot of experience, and is a winner. He is a winner. Every single program that he went to, he elevated. And the production at each spot was incredible. So I have a hard time understanding the people that think that this was a stupid pick. It was not a stupid pick. And also, this is where it ties into the other thing that I wanted to talk about and bring up. The Browns were really high on him. Higher than what we might perceive, Derek. So this was a post on Twitter from Noah Weiskampf, previously known as Browns by Noah, if anybody is aware. So he's somebody who not a huge following, but he does a lot of insider coverage for the Browns and NFL in general. And this is what he posted that I was shocked by. So, based on the sources that he had talked to, it was Dillon Gabriel around the league was valued anywhere from a 6th rounder to undrafted. So, yeah, and then he goes, yes, there were clubs that had him as an undraftable player. Cleveland fell in love with Dillon Gabriel throughout the pre-draft process and didn't want to take a chance on missing out on him, given the number 94 overall selection. They loved his decision-making, among many other things, and viewed him as their number 2 QB target in the draft behind Cam Ward.
It's insane, but it's not. I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but it makes sense. And I'm going to talk about this when we get to Shedeur too. But everybody in this quarterback room, Tristan, I can make an argument on how it makes sense, and especially when you look at Dillon, like what is a Kevin Stefanski quarterback, Tristan? Accurate, timing. It can improvise. Like, it makes sense.
And Kevin Stefanski's playbook, there's not a crazy amount of deep throws that are schemed into it. It's mostly intermediate throws that break for long touchdowns is where we see it. It's honestly, Derek, I don't remember the last time non-Joe Flacco this team had a throw way, way, way up the sideline with a receiver going on a streak. I don't remember it.
I can give you the exact year.
Is it with Baker Mayfield and
2019?
Freddie Kitchens? Oh, no.
2019. Freddie Kitchens, Baker Mayfield, OBJ's first year. We ran just straight verts every play, and we just try to throw bombs every play, and thought that was smart. Air raid. Do you remember that when the Browns had an air raid offense?
My gosh. Yeah, air raid offense, but then ran on a 4th and 13.
Yeah, with who was the left tackle at the time we had? He got busted at the border with a truck full of weed. What was his name again?
I want to say it was
Greg Robinson.
Yeah, Greg Robinson. Yeah, I knew the last name was Robinson. I couldn't remember.
Running an air raid offense with
Greg Robinson at left tackle.
With Greg at left tackle. And no receive. Well, I guess they thought we had receivers, but
didn't we also have at that point? I don't know if it was before or after. Then we had an offensive tackle that ended up being naked in front of a school.
No, that was defensive tackle. That was what was his name? Malik McDowell.
Oh, Malik McDowell. Yes,
slinging dick in front of preschools. Malik McDowell. Don't do meth, everybody. Don't do meth.
Well, there. There goes our monetization.
No, we're an hour in. It'll be.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok might get. Well, I don't know if I could post that on TikTok.
Yeah, no, you're not posting on TikTok. But in this in this little quote here, Andrew Barry also described Dillon Gabriel, and he said, very accurate, very poised, throws with anticipation, good mobility. We just thought he had a really well-rounded game. So this is the thing, right? There are going to be people that say, okay, great, they had him as their second quarterback. They suck at evaluating quarterbacks is what they'll say. But I just think that they don't understand what the Browns are looking for in a quarterback. They need a guy that is able to throw with anticipation, is accurate, has decent mobility. This is the stuff that they're clearly valuing a lot. Poise as well. And so don't look at Dillon Gabriel and them having him as their second highest quarterback. Don't view that as, oh, they suck at evaluating quarterbacks. Look at the traits that they're looking for and ask yourself, why are they looking for those traits? It's because it fits with Kevin Stefanski. They are trying to build a team that is built, the offense is built for Kevin Stefanski, and they're including the future in that consideration. I think it was the right pick, and as soon as we saw that pick, I said to myself, I think he's going to start next year. I don't know if he's not going to be a day one starter. He's not. But I think that by middle of the season, I could see him coming in and being our starter. Because Derek, we've seen it before with Joe Flacco. He's fantastic. He has games where he just throws it away, doesn't give you a chance. And then there's others where he's the only reason why you won. So it's I definitely can see it. At least giving him a chance. And I think it's worth it. So not to mention, and we'll talk about this with the next quarterback the selection, but actually, I'm going to mention it now. We drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks, Derek, and 2 guys that I think at a minimum are going to be solid backups in the NFL. They're also going to be on cheap rookie contracts as well. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, if one of them doesn't step up and take over the starting spot, the Browns are going to be looking to draft another quarterback next year, which means that quarterback room, in that hypothetical world where we trade up, we get our guy, right, has 3 guys who are competent NFL backup level at a quarter of the price of any other quarterback room in the league. This pick, and trying to understand this pick as well as that pick, made me understand why the Browns made the moves that they made. This team is not going through a complete rebuild. They're going through a retool. So this year, they're going to retool, and then next year, they're going to go ballistic, and they are going to go for it. This is their year where they're just going to accumulate their assets, and they're going to put themselves in a position where next year they'll get their guy, and they'll try to take advantage of the 4 years on the rookie deal plus the 5th-year option of that guy. And I think they're in a very, very good spot to do it. So I got to say, now that I'm able to piece together what this team is trying to do, I think this was a great move. I like the pick.
Yeah, it's not like I said, it's not a pick I would have made personally. And I know it's it's a 3rd rounder. It is what it is. But for me personally, I would have taken a flyer on a receiver. I would have whatever. But also, I didn't think they were going to draft another quarterback after Dylan Gabriel either. And that, to me, I think if the Browns had a time machine and they were told, hey, Shedeur Sanders is going to fall to the 5th round, and you're going to take him at 144, I don't necessarily think that they would have taken Gabriel there. I could be wrong, but I think they would have more so taken him a little bit later, just because of how the quarterbacks fell. Like Quinn Ewers going in the 7th round was not anticipated at all. And Tristan, I mean no disrespect at all to Dylan Gabriel when I say this, but I don't know that there was another team as high on him as the Cleveland Browns. And that's nothing, again, it's absolutely nothing to do with his talent. Like, if Dylan Gabriel were 6'2" and a righty, I would be the biggest Dylan Gabriel fan. But the fact that he is, under 6'2", 6 foot on a good day, and he is one of 3 lefty quarterbacks in the NFL now. That matters. So would I have made the pick? No. Do I like Dylan Gabriel? Yes, I do. I like Dylan Gabriel a lot. And I'll talk about the quarterback room more here after we get through this next pick, but I'm excited to see how it shakes out, Tristan. I really am.
Yeah. And I like taking this chance here is the other thing that I'll say. Mm-hmm. It's the 94th pick in the draft. If they draft somebody that they view as somebody who fits everything that Kevin Stefanski wants and they think that can be a starter, the value is insane. Insane value. And at the very minimum, you've got a guy that is going to be a solid backup for you. Like, I don't mind taking a chance there. I don't think that he has the highest ceiling. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's capable of being a top 10 quarterback in the league. I don't know as though he's capable of doing that. Excuse me. But I will say this. You're absolutely right. If he was 6'2" and right-handed, he probably would have been a first-round pick. Honestly.
Probably would have been number 1 or 2.
Yeah. Honestly, I could have seen a world where if that was the case, the Browns would have taken him at 2. So he's got everything that you want, right? There's just limits to what he can do. And I think that the Browns are going to work with it because keep in mind as well, Kevin Stefanski's playbook, there's a lot of rollouts there. There's a lot of rollouts. There's, the pocket is moving a lot with Kevin. So I don't think that the height ends up being as big of an issue. It still will be. I'm not going to lie. It will be. He's shorter than Baker Mayfield, and we saw that issue with Baker. He'd have a guy wide open over the middle. He'd go to throw it, and a D tackle got his hand on it. It used to frustrate the hell out of me, and it probably will with him too. But can you do enough good to surround that? We'll see. But I like the risk. Now, in the 4th round, pick number 126, the Cleveland Browns take Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee. Doubling up on running back. I would not have seen this coming, but I think it was the right move, Derek. And I want your thoughts. What do you think about Dylan Sampson in the 4th round?
Yeah, this was okay. Now we're on Saturday when I was walking into work. Right before I went into work, I saw the pick, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, okay, like. It wasn't what I was expecting. Honestly, I was expecting them to take a depth offensive line piece or a receiver. But, which, by the way, some of the receivers that fell, like Jimmy Horn. I know everybody hates Colorado. Or not everybody, but a lot of people have personal beef with Colorado and their team and players, but Jimmy Horn Jr. was one of the most underrated prospects in this draft. Him and LeJontay Wester. And of course Wester goes to the Ravens because of course he does. But when I saw this pick, I was like, yeah, okay. This makes sense. I'm not mad at it. I'm not blown away by it, but I was happy with it just because of what you have now. You have a guy in Quinshon that's tough, aggressive, just run through you, but also has good vision, good speed. He's your number 1. Well, now you have a great change of pace back with Dylan Sampson that plays the game more I don't want to say this guy just because they went to the same college, but more like an Alvin Kamara, a fast, slippery, quick kind of, like I said, change of pace back. And I think in the immediate future for the Browns, Jerome Ford's contract is going to be up, and I think it's safe to say, barring a very, very, very cheap deal, he's not coming back. And the fact that you have 2 guys now that I think are starting caliber players. One you got in the 2nd round, the other you got in the 4th round. I'm thrilled, Tristan. This class was so loaded at running back that any other year Dylan Sampson probably would have been a 3rd rounder, 2nd round pick. And we were able to snag him in the 4th. And this whole offensive draft from the Browns, every pick that they made on offense fits into this puzzle that they're trying to run. And I think Sampson is another piece of the puzzle. I think it's not necessarily chunt to that degree, but I do think the pairing of Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins will be very, very well together. And even if it's not, one of these 2 guys is going to be really good. I have no doubt. My money would be on Quinshon, but don't sleep on Dylan Sampson. He is a very good running back.
Yeah, absolutely. You got thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
I like the commitment to the running back room. And now again, when we look at the running back room, similar situation with quarterbacks. You have two guys that, at a minimum, are serviceable starters. Quinshon, certainly we both view as somebody who can be one of the best running backs in the NFL. I think that this, again, I think it's a great pickup. Let me just read this to you in terms of accolades. 2024 SEC Offensive Player of the Year, third team All-American. Led the SEC in yards rushing, and also ended up being a Tennessee single season record. The fact that you got that caliber of a player in the fourth round, that a guy that was able to produce that much, yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, his speed is fantastic. His production is great. I think that this is a very, very good pick. A guy that, paired up with Quinshon Judkins, I think the fact is the Browns are not going to be throwing the football a ton. They're going to cap at about 30, 35 throw attempts a game, typically. They're going to be running the football a lot. And I think that they've got two guys that are very, very promising, have very high ceilings, and could potentially be stars. You know, I really, really love this pickup. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think they have the potential to be chunked. Part two. We'll see. So.
Yeah, they're both very unique in their own way, and that's what I like about it the most. Is you have two guys now in that running back room that you can do a lot of different things with, and that is important. Even with Jerome Ford, like I don't want to completely write off Jerome Ford, but you know we're gonna have him this season, and you know we can use him in the pass game. We can use him out of the backfield. You know, you have him as kind of a change of pace back. You have Dylan Sampson as a change of pace back. He's more of your elusive running back. And then you have Judkins. That's elusive, strong, tough, fast. Like the different levels that the Browns can hit you now within the run game. It's what they want to do. It's what they've been wanting to do. And now it's what we're going to be doing again. And you have the tools to do it. You have the tools to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Now it gets fun.
Yes. Now, Derek, I wanna build this up a bit. Okay.
Okay.
So, day 3 of the draft, obviously biggest story, Shedeur Sanders' slide. People can't believe it. Okay.
Mel Kiper is
Kiper's
fuming.
losing his fucking mind. I need to know how many times how many times did Mel Kiper say Shedeur or Shedeur Sanders in the draft? Like those words. I need to know. I have to have a counter. I feel for the poor bastard who would have to go through and have a clicker, you know, to be able to record that amount. I mean, he'll get arthritis.
How about the people that were on set with him?
Oh my gosh!
It was every 2 minutes. It was Mel,
Yeah.
Mel. I understand Mel, and it's like, listen, man, this is one of the craziest. Like, say what you want. Like, I don't care anybody's opinion on the player. Like, forget that. Stories, draft stories. This is one of the craziest draft stories of all time.
Yeah. In recent memory, it's the craziest, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that might be comparable was Laramie Tunsil and the gas mask. Like, that was insane. But he still went in the first round. So,
yeah,
although
we're talking 5 rounds.
Although I will say, Lyle Collins,
yeah,
that's a crazy draft story. Although he didn't get drafted, so just insane. But so I want to go back. So obviously we're going into day 3, and at this point, I'm not really paying too close attention to what the Browns are doing, just because I don't really see them taking players that are going to be that relevant, right? Boy, oh boy, how I was wrong. But so I'm folding laundry and I'm putting laundry away, doing my chores like a good boy, like my mom raised me well. But I'm folding my laundry. I'm putting it away in drawers, and I'm going. I got my phone propped up on my dresser. Okay, and as I'm putting clothes into the dresser, I see a notification because I was watching like some YouTube video at that time. I couldn't remember exactly what, but probably a podcast. But I saw a notification. The Browns have traded to pick number 144, and I was like, "What? Traded up?" Like it wasn't clicking. Like I didn't understand. So then I say, you know what, maybe this is gonna be something big. So I put my do not disturb on, loaded up my Spectrum app, and I was like, you know what, let's see what's gonna happen here. And I watched, and as soon as I heard the lady who announced the pick say that we took Shedeur Sanders, do you know what the first words that came out of my mouth were, Derek?
Probably holy shit.
Holy shit, they fucking did it. It's the exact words that came out of my mouth. I couldn't believe it. They not only did they double dip at quarterback, but they got this guy at 144. I was shocked. But I have so many positives to say about this, but I'm going to start by going to you first, Derek. You felt a lot higher. Based on our pre-draft evaluations, you were a lot higher on Shedeur Sanders than I was. Derek, talk to me. How did you feel about the fact that we got Shedeur at pick 144?
So, before I get into that, I want to talk about the why. Sorry. Why Shedeur Sanders fell, because Tristan, we did a pre-draft podcast, and the one thing that I said was I do not buy, like I did not believe that Shedeur Sanders would fall. Boy, was I wrong, because Tristan, I thought, and anybody out there can roll their eyes, do whatever, laugh, I don't care. When we traded back to 5, I thought, I wonder if they've wanted Shedeur all along, because say what you will, I mean, they spent a lot of time with him. They spent a lot of time, and they were one of the few teams that said good things about their meetings with Shedeur Sanders and the family and everything that has somehow wrapped itself into this big ball of drama. The Browns were one of the teams that was high on him, and I've heard that from inside as well. Like they liked him. So I thought, Tristan, there was a chance we would take him at 5. We obviously didn't. And then I was like, okay, he falls. Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock at 21. Damn it. I'm like, they got him. They did it. They pulled it off. How did the Pittsburgh Steelers do this? They took Derek Harmon. Great player. I like that pick a lot. But I thought...
Sorry, real quick. One last thing. Rest in peace to his mother. Such a tragic story, but thank goodness that before she went, she got to see her boy get drafted. And I'll always hate the Steelers, but I'll root for him. That's... Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought for sure... Tristan, when I saw them on the clock, I was like, yep, this is it. He's now going to be the franchise quarterback that haunts us for years to come. Like it's just gonna happen. Like, and it wasn't. And I was like, wow, okay. Because then the next quarterback team were okay. New York Giants trade up. Okay, they taking Shedeur. No, they go Jackson Dart. All of a sudden, Tristan, I'm sitting there and I'm like, 33's looking awful close. And then we take Carson Schwesinger. And then we take Quinshon Judkins. And then all of a sudden, quarterbacks start going off the board. Tyler Shuck. What the shuck was that? Like, why? Whatever. I don't know. Saints fans, I know they're pissed still, but oh well. I mean, he goes off the board. Jalen Milroe goes off the board. At least with that, I can understand, like, okay, he's got, ceiling is way high. Like, I understand. We take Dylan Gabriel. Trying to think who else went off the board before. That might have been it. But a list of guys that nobody probably would have predicted would go off the board before Shedeur Sanders. And Tristan, I was dumbfounded. I really didn't understand it. But now to get to when I found out, I was at work, saw we traded up. Of course, as we trade up, I get pulled away. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, what are they doing? I thought there was no chance. I didn't want to hype myself up to it because I was wanting him. The whole draft, I wanted him. But I didn't want to overhype myself. You know what I mean? I didn't want to think, oh, we're going to get him, and then we don't, trade up for some safety. But my boss looks at the computer, and her jaw drops. And I went, oh, boy, what did we just do? So I get done, and I walk over to the computer, and I said, do I even want to look? And she looked at me, and she goes, I don't know. I don't know what your reaction is going to be. And I'm like, is it that big of a deal? Like, did we do it? And sure enough, I look, and that computer said at 144, Shedeur Sanders. And, man, I cannot explain, Tristan, the feeling that went through my body. I was lit. I was electric. And I don't want to take a whole bunch of time here because I know this is obviously the big topic, but I will say, talent-wise, strictly talent-wise, no one can tell me that Shedeur Sanders is a fifth-round talent. He is he's more talented than a fifth-round selection. In my opinion, I had him at a first to second round grade, at the least a second round grade. And say what you want about him, say what you want about his dad, say what you want about the family, whatever. Tristan, this is a guy who is got decent size. He's 6 foot, 215 pounds. He's put on more muscle this offseason through the draft process, so he's gotten bigger. Very accurate quarterback. Number one skill set. Very accurate. Great pocket presence. Tristan, he steps up in the pocket. He moves around in the pocket. He creates separation from defenders. He's, extends plays. He's tough as nails. That dude had a terrible offensive line at Colorado. He had no run game at all. And it was him and Travis. And where he was taken, Tristan, I think is absolutely unfair. I think it is very unfair. I think he has been labeled something that he is not. It's one thing dealing with off-the-field stuff, but Tristan, the Baltimore Ravens just cut Justin Tucker and then drafted Mike Green in the second round. Shedeur Sanders has what allegations? What? That he's a bad dude? Because he throws a party? Because he's flashy? Someone help me here. Like, I understand. The NFL told Shedeur and the Sanders family that the juice is not worth the squeeze, and that's fine. That's fine through the first 2 to 3 rounds. After that, what are we doing, Tristan? What are we doing that a guy with this talent falls this far because of this quote-unquote reputation that he has? Meanwhile, since he's been here in Cleveland, What has he been doing? He's been working out. He's been going to elementary schools. Like, he's been doing everything he's supposed to do. But everybody tells me he's a bad guy. I don't understand it. I have more to say, but I'm going to shut up because I know I've been rambling. So I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to pick back up.
Yeah, no. So there were 5 quarterbacks taken before him. Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shugg, Jalen Milroe, and Dylan Gabriel. Here's what I'll say. So I was somebody that was not high on Shedeur throughout the pre-draft process. Me personally, I had him graded in terms of talent, like a second, third round pick. I would have, if the Browns would have traded back up into the first round to take him, I would have been happy with it. Even though I in terms of talent, I felt like, could slide a bit, but we'll see. Him going to the 5th round is insane. In terms of what's leaked out since then, I understand why he slid. In terms of the meetings in particular, at the combine, it was reported he had several terrible meetings where it was less so the teams trying to like receive a pitch from him for why he should be taken. Instead, it was him saying, what makes your organization great? How can I trust that you're gonna have an organization built for me? And listen, valid questions, but in that situation, I think that those teams wanted to see some humility, but I guess what's the word? Humbleness, and that's just not Shedeur. He's a very, very confident person, and there is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. I don't see him as an arrogant person. No. I just think he's very, very confident. I think that in terms of talent-wise, a lot of the NFL evaluators looked at him as similar to me, where not a for sure thing as a starter, not sure about how high his ceiling is. There's not one particular thing that he does that at the NFL level you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, he's one of the elites at this. Looking back at it, probably completion or accuracy, I would say. He is a very accurate quarterback, and I think that is an aspect of his game that I actually overlooked in the pre-draft process, but he had a lot of big flags, and I think that teams evaluated him, and they said, I think that this is a guy who is a backup quarterback. And because teams evaluated him and said that he's a backup, the overconfidence, the media hype, everything that he would bring, a lot of teams don't want that for the backup. They don't. And not a lot of teams can handle it. But the Cleveland Browns decided to do it because, you know what? It's worth the risk. Because if he does work...
Yeah.
If he works out, Derek, this is the biggest lottery ball, the biggest, gift from the NFL for us. Seriously, like it would be everything. Seriously, I mean, it would. Mel Kiper would be singing until the end of the world. Like the world would be ending and that man would still have a smile on his face, and it's not because he'd be thinking about the time he spent with his loved ones. It would be because he knew that he was right on Shedeur Sanders. I just look at it and I say, like, end of first round, I wouldn't love it, but I would understand if we took him. Beginning of the second round, don't love it, but I would understand. Third round, I'd be happy with that. 4th round? Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th round, Derek?
Mm-hmm.
Ecstatic. And I want to also compliment, because I got a few more things I want to say in terms of Shedeur, but I want to make sure I include this, and then I'll send it to you. The Cleveland Browns, their front office, they have excellent sources inside the league. And not only that, but they also do a hell of a job at being quiet about stuff. Like, nothing throughout this whole process leaked. Nothing at all. The first time that you ever heard that there was interest from Jacksonville into trading up was from Jacksonville. Like, it never came out of Cleveland. And then, after we had drafted Shedeur Sanders, I believe it was Adam Schefter came out and said that he had heard a little bit earlier in the process that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to take Shedeur Sanders if he fell to them. And the Cleveland Browns made a traded their last 2 picks in the draft with Seattle, to Seattle, to move up right in front of them to take him. Derek, I gotta tip my hat to this front office. This was a great draft. It was a great draft, and this is the icing on the cake. But let's. I know I kind of took us sideways there, but let's stick with Shedeur. Talk to me, Derek.
Yeah, Tristan, the biggest thing for me that drives me insane is like the people who are like, I'm done. This franchise sucks. We never do anything right. We always draft the wrong players. There is no risk. Read my lips. No risk. None. Absolute zero. None. There's no risk. You took a guy that, say what you want, but most talent evaluators, bare minimum, had him as a 2nd round or higher talent, right? You got him in the 5th round. 5th round. A guy who I think, Tristan, very well could be. I'm not saying he is or will be for sure, but he very well could be the franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He very well could be. He has the talent to be. And you got that in the 5th round. 5th round. Oh, but he's arrogant. Oh, but he's cocky. Oh, he's a distraction. Boy, do I have great news for you. He was a 5th round pick. You can cut him today. Like, if he is that big of a problem, you can remove him from your roster as easy as a click of a button. It is not that hard, right? No risk. You saved $40 million by taking Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. You saved $40 million. You acquired zero risk. You added a guy who has potential to be your franchise quarterback to a quarterback room that you already took another quarterback that you believe yourself is better than him. But guess what? You think Shedeur Sanders is this cocky, arrogant quarterback. Great. Pack your bags and get your ass to work. Because now you have to prove yourself. And he is proving himself. And Tristan, what I love the most about it is just what I've seen, the type of person that Shedeur Sanders is. I see how he rubs people the wrong way, or how he could rub people the wrong way, but I have zero doubt about his work ethic at all. I have zero doubt. And I cannot wait to see rookie minicamp. I cannot wait to see the preseason for the Cleveland Browns because, boy, let me tell you, if you think that if you think there, is a lock for how this quarterback room shakes out, you are wrong. This quarterback room could have Dillon as a starter, Shedeur as a starter, Kenny Pickett as a starter, Joe Flacco as a starter, and any one of those guys can be cut or traded. Any one of them. And to me, Tristan, the best part about it is you now have him as a player, not who just had, and I know we get PTSD from Baker from saying this, but not only does he have a chip on his shoulder, but we were the organization that took the risk. We took a risk on him. It's zero risk, but we took a risk on him. Like, we were the one that picked him. We ended the 5-round slide of a guy that could have went in the first round and nobody would have batted an eye. Like, we took the chance on him. And I think, for me personally, Tristan, it's way too early to tell, and there's a lot that has to happen. It would not shock me at all if Shedeur Sanders was the franchise quarterback for the Browns because of everything that he does well. He fits. Look at what we need from our quarterback. We need an accurate quarterback who's going to make smart decisions that can operate within the structure of this offense. He's got the ability to do it. Like, he does. We're not asking. What was my biggest complaint about him, Tristan? Arm strength. I was worried because I'm like, man, I don't know if it's not a bad arm, but it's not a really good NFL arm.
Yeah, especially with velocity. Yeah, his throws are all like they're thrown with touch. Yeah.
Yes, but he's got by far the prettiest throwing motion out of any quarterback in the draft. He throws a beautiful ball. Accuracy, I think it is going to be an adjustment not having a Travis Hunter, which we could have had both, but oh well. But yeah, to just kind of wrapping it up, I couldn't be any more elated. I am so glad that he is a Cleveland Brown. I'm so glad that, for him, I think it's going to be beneficial. I think he is going to have to handle things different. And I think that's going to work out great for him. I think there's a fire that's lit now, and the responsibility now comes back to him. Go win this job. You can. Like, you can literally be the day one starter if you want. Same with Dylan. Go win the fucking job. Like, get your lunch pail, show up, and show who the fuck is here. Like, that's what the mentality should be for these two rookie quarterbacks. Because now you're in an old-fashioned duke 'em out quarterback duel, and I cannot wait.
Yeah. So first and foremost, let me start by reading this off, because you were just talking about how talking about Shedeur and his accuracy and the fact that he protects the football. And I've got a tweet pulled up here from Jack Duffin. Some interesting data from PFF on the Browns' new QBs. For PFF's adjusted completion percentage amongst the rookie quarterbacks, or sorry, not even just rookie quarterbacks in college, out of 300 plus college QBs, actually. Adjusted completion percentage, Dylan Gabriel was first, Shedeur Sanders was second. PFF's turnover-worthy plays rate, Dylan Gabriel sixth, Shedeur Sanders tied for third. It's very clear that those are two particular things that this organization was looking for. Someone who's accurate, somebody who won't turn the ball over. And they picked two guys that I feel like could be starters. They could. Mm-hmm. I don't think that it's necessarily a lock that either of them will be, but I think that they have the potential to be. And I will say, I think that Shedeur Sanders does have a higher ceiling than Dylan Gabriel, just mostly because of the fact that he just has a bigger frame to do what Kevin Stefanski will want to do. But I will say this, with Shedeur, the big red flags that I had for him, certainly arm strength, in terms of the velocity. He throws with a lot of touch on his throws. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but if you're going to do that and that's going to be how you play, you're gonna have to be somebody that is able to process at an elite level if you're going to be successful in the NFL. But we saw it from somebody who went in the 6th round that was able to do it. So, and how in recent memory, somebody who was Mr. Irrelevant has been able to do it. So, you know, arm strength isn't everything for quarterbacks, but it is something that does matter for sure. It should be factored into discussions. For me, the other issue with Shedeur when I was evaluating him is he does have a tendency to just hold onto that ball in the pocket. And he's got to do a better job of if something's not there, throw it away or take a check down. You know, like you just gotta be a bit smarter there. But I think that this is somebody who, if he improves in that aspect, if he's able to get rid of the ball quicker, and if he's able to, I think the most important factor in him becoming a good starter, an elite quarterback, or being somebody that is out of the league in like 2 years, is his ability to get up to speed with NFL processing and then become somebody who can be elite at it. Because if he's able to do that, and he's able to be one of these guys that can throw with crazy anticipation and continue to be as accurate as he has been, you've got yourself a franchise quarterback. You've got yourself somebody that's capable of winning you a Super Bowl. In that, to say that about a guy that you got in the 5th round is insane. Not to mention, you know, Derek, this team has had a lot of negativity and a lot of it just, everybody kind of got tired of this team. And it lost its momentum, and the disappointment of last year has been taking a toll on a lot of people, myself included. I haven't really cared as much, if I'm being honest, Derek. And it's not because I don't care. It's because I was frustrated, and I just felt like I didn't have the energy with this team. It felt like it took energy to actually support them, rather than just the passion leading you. So I'll tell you what this pick does. Not only is it somebody who has a legitimate chance to be your starter and be a player that could eventually be, I think at the very top of his ceiling, he could be one of the top end elite quarterbacks in the league. I think that it's a bit unlikely, but I think that it's possible. He's got to improve in some areas, but so you've got that type of guy, but there's so much positivity and energy that he's bringing. And this Browns team went from being boring and being one of the most boring teams in the league to now being one of the most exciting in the league. Derek, I cannot wait. Cannot wait. You already said it. Cannot wait for training camp.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we're getting Hard Knocks again. I think we're getting it.
We're not allowed.
I think we are. I think they got rid of the rule.
Oh, did they? I don't know.
I could be wrong, but I think they got rid of it. But I don't know. But either way, Amazon might pay like a crazy amount of money to the Browns. That way we can get it again.
Yeah, for real.
Because I'll tell you, this is the story. During training camp, the NFL is going to be covering it like a hawk. Who ends up pulling away in this quarterback room? And the funniest thing is, of all the guys in that quarterback room, the one that should feel the most security is Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, for real.
He's probably the most secure. Like, okay, I mean, they drafted me with a 3rd round pick, although I know it's end of the 3rd round and not as valuable. But they drafted me with the 3rd round pick. I at least will stay on the roster and be a backup. Like, you got Joe and Kenny who are fighting for the starting position and know that if they don't get the starting position out of camp, they're not going to save a roster spot for either of them. They're going to give it to the rookies. Yeah. So they don't have job security currently. And then you got Shedeur Sanders, who was the 5th round pick. And if he ends up being a distraction and ends up being a negative for the team, they'll just cut him.
Yeah.
They'll just cut him. So,
dude,
Dylan Gabriel's got the most security out of the quarterbacks that we have on this roster. It's insane. But I love how the Browns made a decision that not only gives you hope, but gives everybody a jolt. This is exciting again.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if y'all heard that. Bass was bumping outside my window, as it has always here. It's either that or cop sirens. But, yeah. So what drives me crazy? So everything you're saying, I obviously agree with. But what drives me the most crazy, Tristan, is I've seen people be like, "I'm done being a Browns fan. They drafted Shedeur Sanders." It's like, bro. So what? You hate him. Okay, great. You think he's a bust. Well, boy, do I have good news. If he is, you have 2 first-round draft picks next year. You can take your guy next year. Literally, this season is all about what do we have. Let's figure out what do we have. And that's why I think there's a real chance, Tristan, that you could see all of these quarterbacks getting playing time throughout this season. Joe Flacco is 80, and yes, we love him and we appreciate him, and he's great. But do I think he's going to finish the season? No, I don't. Kenny, the hands are a problem, bro.
Yo, I saw some the Browns posted some pictures, and that man's wearing the gloves, and they just make his hands look smaller. Like it's bad.
It doesn't help. It makes it worse.
Oh, man. Oh, sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, but like, nobody gives a shit about Joe or Kenny. Like, let's just be real. Like, we're happy that Joe's here. I don't think anybody's really happy about Kenny being here. Sorry, Kenny, but nobody really cares about you. Everybody is looking at Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur. Like, and that's a fun thing, Tristan, is what a story. Like, if Shedeur Sanders turns out to be a really good franchise quarterback, boy, because guess what? Got those 2 first-round picks next year. Guess what? You no longer have to trade them to go get a quarterback. Caleb Downs at free safety sounds pretty good to me. There's other really good talent. Like, if you do need to take a quarterback, now you can. You have the ammo to do it. But guess what? If you don't, you now have 2 first-round draft picks to get possible great talent, with those picks. And here's the thing. People are like, the Browns are going to be a 3-win team again. Who gives a shit? I don't care. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year. Like, I think we're going to be good. I do think we're going to be competitive. I've been saying I think we're going to be around a 500 football team, which you might say, that's not good, whatever. I don't care. I don't care if we win 4 games. If we can leave the end of next season, Tristan, saying we have our franchise quarterback or we don't have our franchise quarterback, that is the number 1 priority. That is what this season is about. So...
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially when we talk about like the quarterback situation moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? One of these quarterbacks, let's say, ends up working out, and we have a guy that we're gonna say, okay, he's our starter moving forward. You'll have people that say, oh, well, you know what, you traded away Travis Hunter for nothing then. Like, you didn't need to. Derek, let me ask you a question. This football team, could they use a potentially Pro Bowl or All-Pro caliber left tackle? Yes, they can.
Yes.
I know you can't answer, but that's okay. I shouldn't have asked you that question. I'm sorry, but I'll ask myself that question, and then I'll ask. All right, you're back, so I'll ask you a second question. Could this team also use a potential Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber wide receiver?
Yeah.
Could this team potentially use, as you had mentioned, a generational defensive back?
Yeah.
2 first-round picks means that you have 2 chances at getting players that can be unbelievably talented. And when we look at next year's draft, honestly, Derek, I think next year's draft at the quarterback position is very loaded. I just think near the top, there's some talented football players. I mean, Caleb Downs, absolutely. You know, as you know, you're certainly an Ohio State fan. You'll know him, but quarterbacks is insane, and I'm sure that there's going to be other guys that pop up that I'm just not aware of right now. But the point is that making that move to trade down from 2 was not pointless if we end up having one of these quarterbacks that pans out. If anything, it just means that you hit the ball out of the park with one of your 3rd or 5th round picks and got extreme value and an insane return on your investment. And if they don't work, it's 3rd and 5th round pick. Like, and end of the 3rd round again. Like, if it was a 4th round pick, I feel like people would actually like not care as much. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was officially like a 4th round pick or in the 100s, I think people wouldn't care as much.
Which I don't know why, because the last time I checked, Andrew Berry's got an excellent track record in the 3rd round because, you know, Anthony Schwartz is a Hall of Famer. David Bell's a Hall of Famer. Perion Winfrey. He was what?
He was 4th. He was 4th round.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. But no, I think that it's a worthwhile investment in these 2 guys, and if one of them pans out, Derek will be in an insane position next season to really go out and build a team that can start to compete for a Super Bowl with a rookie that has multiple years left on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
I think this team could be around 500. Who knows if they get hot, maybe, and something works at quarterback, maybe they can sneak into the playoffs. Unlikely. I think this is a team that picking anywhere between like 5 and 10, 5 and 15, we'll say. But like, regardless, I like the approach for quarterback. And especially the fact that after the season, Deshaun Watson will get insurance money to cover his cap hit when we cut him. So,
and you just recouped. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but think of getting that extra 1st round pick as taking one away from the Watson trade. Like, it's something. This team doesn't have young talent, and now you have. I think you agree as well because you already said it, but at least, let's see, Graham, Carson, Judkins, Fannin. That's 4 starters. Bare minimum 4 starters, probable.
We'll play at least like 40% snaps.
Yeah. And then you have Gabriel and Sanders, your 2, like you mentioned, your two swings at the bat to try to hit a home run at quarterback that if they work out, awesome. If they don't, oh well. And then you got Dylan Sampson, who is just another piece to the offense. Like, I don't understand how people can be upset with the Shador pick. I really don't get it. You have to have a personal hatred for the guy or for his family or whatever. Because, you know, I've said it a billion times now, but I'm going to say it again. The talent is not a 5th round talent. He is in my opinion, 1st to 2nd round talent that you got in the 5th round. And again, if it doesn't work, oh well. And if it does, great. Like, Shador Sanders is not stopping you from drafting a quarterback next year. Like, he's not. You didn't pick him at 2. You didn't. You know, but.
Yeah. And again, the running back room is going to have 2 guys with 3 years left on their rookie deals. Yeah, because it's four-year. Yeah, for rookies, 4-year deal. Your quarterback room, same exact thing. You'll have 2 guys, 3 years left on the rookie deal. And if one of them doesn't pan out and end up being your starter will have 4 years left on a rookie deal with a 5th-year option. So, in terms of money management, and Deshaun Watson's cap is going to come off the books. I just think that this team, if that's the situation that we're looking at, right, for next offseason, imagine the amount of cash Jimmy is going to be able to inject into this team.
Yeah.
A top free agent, he's here. They're going to be able to afford it. They'll have the assets to go out, make trades for players. This is why I'm excited about this team moving forward. I've got something to really, really root for, something that's really intriguing in our quarterbacks that we drafted. And I know that I know what direction this organization is looking at going in, and I like it. It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, they always say, it's a very, very common thing. If you're gonna win with a quarterback, you got to do it while he's on his rookie deal, because that's when you can have the best team around him. And I think we have an extremely great opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And we're at 2 hours, so I'm ready to wrap it up. But the last thing I will say is I've heard a lot of people say, the hit rate, right? People talk about, you're not going to find your quarterback, whatever. The Cowboys took Dak Prescott in the 4th round, came in, was great, started, was awesome. Historically, the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, it's been done before. It's a hard road, but Tristan, if there's anybody that I think can handle this, it's Shedeur Sanders, because he's handled criticism, he's handled praise, he's handled everything his whole career. He went to HBCU, played very well, transferred to Colorado. I'll be honest, when he was coming into Colorado, I was like, I don't think this is going to work out. And it did. Shedeur Sanders was a great quarterback at Colorado. Did it amount to a bunch of wins? No. But that team also sucked. I know people will look at it and be like, what did he even win? Okay, I understand. I get your point, but what did he have around him? No offensive line, no run game. The defense was shoddy at best. The weapons, I liked his weapons. I thought he had good receivers, but outside of that, not a whole lot. So, but yeah, I couldn't be any happier. I am absolutely pumped that the draft went the way it did. And I think everybody would be if the order was shifted, right? And this has been said. If it was Mason Graham, Shedeur Sanders, Quinshon, Fannin, Samson, you get the point. If Dylan Gabriel wasn't the first quarterback, people would be a lot happier. But it doesn't matter. If Dylan sucks, oh well. If Shedeur sucks and Dylan's great, oh well. Who cares?
Yeah. No, absolutely. The process was correct. I agree with how they proceeded throughout this draft. Yeah. They picked their second-ranked quarterback in the 3rd round, at the end of the 3rd round. Come on. The last thing I'll say is Next Gen Stats came out with a table, and it covered the athletic scores, so your RAS scores, and production scores, so how productive they were in college. And they threw a chart out, averaging the top 7 picks for every team's draft, looking at the production scores and athletic scores, gave them averages for both for the class, and then threw them on this chart. Mm-hmm. So the Browns, in terms of athletic score, slightly above average, not bad, slightly above average. They had the highest production score, of any other draft class, and I think that that's very, very notable. I think that does show that the front office and the people that are making decisions are tailoring their decisions based on what's successful in the league currently. And that gives me hope. It gives me hope.
Yep.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, I absolutely agree. But with that being said, good discussion there. 2 hours. I know. I apologize. This wasn't done sooner. We both got busy, and then I was gone for 3 days, and then I was sick, and here we are. So, but all right, you got anything else you want to add?
No. I'm very, very happy that we got a chance to record this podcast. I've been looking forward to it so much, and I'm just thrilled about the situation of this Browns team right now.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, say what you want about Shedeur Sanders, he's going to bring eyes. So can't wait to talk about him every chance we get. With that being said, everybody, it's perfect timing to end this. Goodbye.